parenting is like flying a kite. Teenagers don't listen to what you say, they watch.
You could be home all the time and yet never present for your child.
They do not want discipline, they want love. They don't need solutions sometimes, they just need somebody to listen to you. Two fingerprints cannot be the same, two leaves cannot be the same. How can you? Many a times we get scared to even say sorry to our kids. We expect them to say sorry, but hum aap jaake sorry nahi bolte.
They should understand parents make mistakes.
Instead of worrying about the future, manifest the future for your child.
You are the strongest influence whether you accept it or not.
I would always prefer me to be the role model rather than some social media celebrity or somebody outside.
Teenage or adolescence is that phase of life where a child transitions to an adult. It's a very difficult phase in a way, both for parents and children. Children are conflicted, they have too many influences going around, and parents are also often in a state of doubt whether I am doing things the right way. And now a Netflix series, Adolescence, has created so much buzz around the world regarding the influences that a child, that a teenager goes through in school, at home and online. Let me introduce Dr. Smita Dipankar, who is with us in the Free Press Journal studios. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Smita.
Thank you, Afrida, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
And it's a wonderful thing that you're doing because this is really the need of the hour right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smita. I will begin by asking you this, that teenage, this entire phase that we are looking at now, it is said to be the make or break phase. That this is the time when a child takes direction. It sounds scary as a mother of a teenage boy. Why is it so critical a phase? What exactly goes on that makes it so important, both for the parent and the child?
So basically, because if you see, all the educational criteria is also during that phase. The teenager is transitioning from high school to graduation to university and creating their careers. They're also creating their identity. Something's different they're trying to do something different from their parents. Whatever they've learned as values from their parents and what they're learning from the society outside or the influences, their friends, and trying to create something of their own. So that is called as make and break, and that is why there are a lot of spikes, ups and downs happening, because which is right, which is not, what to do, what not to do, all those things come up. So
you're saying something very interesting. You're saying that they are trying to find their own identity.
Yes.
It is as if they do not want to completely be like their parents. They are looking to be their own person.
Yes.
And that process is something that every teenager goes through. That who am I? What am I about? What do I like? And they don't want to be exactly what their parents are doing, right? So now tell me, if this is what you're going through, what are the influences that matter? In our time, of course, social media was not such a big factor. You had peer influence, you had the family influence, at the most the books that you were reading, or who you were hanging out, but it wasn't at all when I was growing up a factor about what is going on online. But now online is another universe.
Yes. So right now the influences are a lot. Obviously it always starts at home, so the parents are there. If you have elder siblings, they are also some people that they look up to, so they are also getting information. Sometimes the information that the elder siblings have, which is not required for the teenager, is also received by the teenager because they're sharing the same room, or discussions, listening over to them, that's there. And then obviously school, teachers, and yes, social media is playing a big role right now, and I think I should say thanks to COVID, that's increased tremendously.
How does a parent go about it? Because we can control certain things. I control what my children are going to eat, what I put on the table and what they're consuming physically. I can control who they are meeting by virtue of where I stay or who they are mixing up with, or by virtue of choosing their school. But how can I control what they are doing online?
Frankly speaking, we can't. Because if I have to say, teenagers are, at least if you are a very, very smart parent and you know tech and you know IT, you know a lot of things, but still they are 2 steps ahead. They know the back route, they know how to manage. So you can't control everything. The base idea is, first thing, which is I had one of my mentors had told me long back is Smita अपनी परवरिश पे भरोसा रख. So first thing is trust. You need to trust that yes, I have given the right values and they are seeing me do the same thing at home. If I walk the talk, that is the differentiator for the child to decide ki okay, my parents are doing this, that means somewhere if this is different, this may or may not be right. So that at least they have some point of reference that is there. But you can't control anything. You would never control anything, because the more you try to control, the more they will hide things from you. So it's like
you have to trust your own child, is what you're saying, and the values that you have.
True. I call parenting is like flying a kite. Thoda ढील दे दो, थोड़ा tight कर लो. So just like no, and the biggest thing I keep telling the kids, when they tell me that my parents don't understand me, I said, beta, you're not born with a manual now. क्या करे, mobile के साथ manual आता है, बेचारे मम्मी पापा के manual हो जाता. You write a manual for your parents and tell them this is what you want, this is how I operate. They will work like that. But
I picked up something from what you said, that how you operate, the children are observing that. Are you saying that children in some way, knowingly, unknowingly, obviously emulate their parents?
Yes,
like if you show kindness, they learn kindness. Yes. If you show that reading books are important and you're reading books, they are likely to read. If you've never seen reading books, you expect your child to be reading, that's not going to happen, right? So you're saying leading by example, am I getting you right?
Absolutely. And it is also leading by example is teenagers don't listen to what you say. They watch.
Okay.
They watch. So how are you? Because at home, we are ourselves. It's our safe space. So we are vulnerable as parents. So they are also. They see you in the best and the worst situations. How are you handling stress? How are you talking to your spouse, or how are you talking to people? So how are you handling things is the way they handle it.
That becomes a manual in a way.
Yes. If you scream,
unwritten script.
If you have to put up a point and you raise your voice, that is an unwritten rule in the house कि अगर मुझे सुनना इस घर में मेरे को बात को रखना है, I have to speak on the top of my voice. So you are creating those unwritten rules. So it is obviously the teenagers are going to follow you as parents. So it is you as a role model. And I would always prefer me to be the role model rather than some social media celebrity or somebody outside,
Yeah. Because you are the strongest influence, whether you accept it or not. If somebody is there around all the time, it is you, with the maximum exposure. Let's talk about the Netflix series, Dr. Smita, because it's obviously so much in public discourse, right? And what does it show? It shows that a child, despite having very stable parents with good marital relations, one sibling, it's not as if, he's growing up in a very tormented sort of immediate environment. A good immediate environment, like you said, things start from home. Things are starting well from home. But then it goes haywire because of the environment in school, environment online, and also a certain genetic, later as the series progresses, this is okay. There was a streak of, anger issues that runs in the family. But what did you make of this series? Is there something powerful you felt that has to be drawn out of this?
Yes, obviously, because the makers try to put in a point which is really important is, yes, adolescents need to be heard, need to be listened to. So yes, the child went through influences. When you say it was a good house, the parents did not have any conflicts, but there is one part of situation when his father said he wasn't there when he needed because I got busy with work. So that is something the child also has mentioned. He used to come to play with me, but then he didn't, somewhere. And again, the validation where his father was a sporty kind of a personality and this boy didn't like sports. And somewhere when he played nice, his father looked at him. He didn't play nice, his father looked away. The two perspectives are mentioned there. The child was felt that when my father looked away, that means he was ashamed of me. And the father saying when I looked away means I didn't want him to feel hurt. But the perspectives are different. The thing is, what I have seen is we always have mama's boy and papa's princess, but it switches in teenage. So when the kids approach puberty, a girl is comfortable talking to her mother and a boy is comfortable talking to the father. But that is a time when we are also growing in our careers. We have a lot of challenges, parents, aging parents. So that is one thing that can have one point if I have to say about the family there, because rest parenting was good. The sister is also good, the parents are good. And yes, the school influences are tremendous, because in a teenager's life, the friends are number one. Always.
Validation from friends.
Yes, validation from friends. So he was
peer
made,
approval is always number one.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And he was made fun of. So it is, they always feel ki, what will my friends say? It's for us also. What will the world say about us? So it's the same.
So your
thing.
perception of yourself or your self-esteem is largely determined by how you're perceived by your peer group.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That is where
That
low
is
self-esteem
where.
comes in. And the problem that they don't realize is, each one of their friend is also flawed. And some people know to hide behind a wall to show that they are very happy.
So this is where this boy was suffering, in the series at least, that he was going through those internal insecurities, massive ones.
Yes.
And this incel culture, which frankly I didn't know this word, that there's something called involuntary celibacy, when girls don't like you, and that 80% of the women like only 20% of the boys, so the rest of the boys are looking for that, and their report card more than their marks is about whether girls like them. So frankly, this series for me was an eye-opener, because I didn't know these things go on in a young boy's mind. About his acceptance in the circle of girls is an important factor. And of course, that's the first world, Dr. Smita. Let's separate that. Like, it may not be as intense here as much as we see in the first world, but I found it interesting that you should say that when you're raising a boy, do understand that when he turns teenage, he turns to his father. And when a girl turns teenage, she turns to her mother. And it may not always be true. And I used to wonder, because I'm raising a son and a daughter, I used to wonder that my son used to be clinging to me. What happened to him? Why is he so averse now? So there's a reason, there's a pattern there.
Because boys cannot talk girl things to moms. It takes a lot of coming out of their mind to say, and girls cannot talk about boys to their dads, because dads will get angry, meri bachchi ko dekha kaise, kind of a thing. Similar way, It's so, it takes time in the eyes of parents to see that, the kids have grown. They can see it when they're growing in height, but internally as a person, they have grown. The realization comes after when they reached 18 or 19. Tab tak it's like, you treat them as adults, but in your mind, you're still, for them, you are their kids. So that creates conflicts in the child's mind. You're giving two different messages. Either बड़े की तरह treat करो या बच्चे की तरह करो.
हम अपने convenience से कभी बच्चे कभी.
So they are also confused.
They are also confused. I liked what you said about being available, and in the series also, luckily you pointed it out. I had not noticed that. What you're saying is that father's availability was compromised, and that has its own impact. A lot of parents talk about quality time versus quantity time. I have seen so many of these highly accomplished women who are very busy at work talk about how they have always managed, even if they are not there, how they have always compensated with quality time. Is there such a thing?
Yes. You can see, define quality time. What do you mean by quality time? Quality time is eye contact, that's the way we are talking to. Having eye contact, instead of listening to the words, observing their body language, observing their things, because the eyes never lie.
Oh, good thing. You're saying that it's not important you have to be there all the time.
Yes, whatever time you are there, be away from your phone, be away from whatever you're watching. Even women, homemakers, cooking, dal banana, maid does not come. Remove, shut yourself from all the thoughts and just be there. Even an half an hour a week is more than enough for your child to share everything.
So that connect we must never forget to maintain.
It's
that
only quality time. So I routinely recommend this as, as parents, you should take your children on dates. It's like a father should take their daughter on a date, and mother should go on a mother-son date. So it's basically where you are only present for your child. That is quality time, because I'm an anesthetist of 20 plus years. So irregular work schedules, day and night call, emergencies. So I really didn't know when to get that time. So whenever I was there, being
you were
available.
fully present.
Yes, that's it.
I think that's a very important message for the audience. I think we often confuse this, and we think we have this guilt factor that I was hardly with my child. But if you were there and fully present and you managed to make that connect and communication, that is good enough. That's what Dr. Smita is telling us, that make an effort to be present, and you could be home all the time and yet never present for your child.
True.
And you could be never present and yet you're fully present, because those few hours or couple of hours that you give are really solid, good communication with the child. I want to then come to the other issue about mental wellness, and Dr. Smita, you're aware, like this country particularly is seeing so many of these student suicides.
Yes.
There are these quota suicides, which has become, this place has become infamous for young teenage boys, girls also in fact, going into these chambers, I would say the rather dark chambers must be, that they're going to do this, some studies for the competitive exams, and then some of them never come back home.
So yeah, basically because you can't just continuously focus on one thing. Competitive exams, yes, the pressure is very high, but because everybody wants to think, I want the best for my child, I want the best college and best thing. It's not about the best compared to what and for whom. How do you know this college is the best based on what results they give, or is your child able to handle the people around, the culture around, and also the way it is? And plus, continuous work will always shut your mind. You need greens, you need exposure. So when I do coaching sessions, and I'll have a lot of kids who do give these competitive exams, and they are, you know, in the house for two years literally.
Oh God.
And I have made it a point, I said compulsory one sport or something that you like to do for yourself and not at home. You have to get out, you have to look into the greens, go for a walk, I don't care what, but you need to have fresh air.
Other stimulation
Yes,
as well.
talk to
Otherwise,
your friends, because when these kids go into competitive exams, the classes that give, I'm not anything about classes, it's in general school also. I'm not saying only competitive, everywhere. India is specifically an educational oriented country, so we nursery say kids have tuitions. So it's like you need to understand the pressure they are going to give everyone. But as parents, we should know, what do we expect for our child? You know, is it worth our child going through so much of pressure and aage jaake, you know, facing suicidal tendencies? I can tell you, I have give this special privilege to all the kids who speak to me. They have access to my personal number 24/7, 365 days a year. I have received calls in midnight, 4 a.m. I just feel like dying. I don't know what my mom says.
It is a real thing.
It is a real thing, and I literally pick up the call and speak to them, and it's just some simple reason which actually makes them, you know, feel. For them, it's like, you know, they make a mountain out of a mole. For emotionally, they are very high.
Everything gets flared up. Everything is amplified.
Yes, and at that time, if a kid goes and wakes up the child, parent at 4 a.m. and I feel like crying, I'm feeling low, you know, they will just go to sleep, you know, we'll speak to it tomorrow morning. And they just call me up, and I know one call I'll receive 15-20 minutes, okay fine, everything's fine, I'm just go. And I get this message in the morning, thank you for being there and talking to me.
It's always important to have another adult who's not your parent and who you can reach out to.
Yes.
Because then they feel, oh, I am not being looked at from that lens of a parent and authority of a parent, but yet it's another adult who knows, you know, and who knows many other children like me. So perhaps that's a very good idea, you know, for children to have counselors.
Yes.
Perhaps it's something that should be made mandatory in schools.
But I would just like to change a little bit here. Life coaching and counseling are two different things.
Okay.
Life coaching is where you're actually helping them handle day-to-day challenges and improve their life skills. Counseling is more of, you know, handling
Specific
the issues or challenges. So wo thoda sa, there is a very thin line here, but that is also there. But I would say yes, there is a requirement of more life coaches here, but parents also can do that for their kids if needed.
I want to then come to this point about, you know, I ask all my guests this, and this is a podcast that we started to understand also the DNA, the basic genetic composition of a child, which comes in a package. I mean, that you can't tamper with, you know, whatever you are at the time of birth because of your parents, it's come locked.
Yes.
You can't change that. So a lot of people say, you know, it's the DNA that matters, you know, कहीं भी परवरिश कुछ भी हो, जो बच्चे का DNA में मिला है, खून में जो मिला है, वो तो change होगा नहीं. Basic फितरत नहीं, इंसान का फितरत नहीं बदलता or something. And there are those who believe that no, you can nurture a child, you can put a child in a good environment, you can, you know, groom the mindset of a child as well. Which one do you think is more powerful, nature or nurture?
I obviously, as a life coach anyways, I focus on nurturing, and I believe every relationship, everything can be changed if you nurture it well. So we have examples from nature itself, कि right तरीके से किसी भी dead plant को भी आप जिंदा कर सकते हो अगर सही तरीके का आप उसको खाद दे दो. So it's the same thing here. Adolescence, the anger streak which was there in the family, that is childhood trauma. But we can decide as parents ki this I want to stop. I have kids who complain and say my parents have anger issues and they do like this and I said if that makes you uncomfortable, decide and put it on block in your friend. When I have kids, I am not going to be this and be that.
That's how you break this cycle.
Yeah, you need to break it. It is up to us to change it. It's up to us how do you handle it. My dad is a type A personality. He used to be short tempered a lot. But the day my mother-in-law came and told me when you leave the house your daughter follows you and does exactly the way you did, that was a hammer hitting on my head. Oh God,
I have to restrain.
Yeah, then that, I'm not saying I'm changed completely, but at least 280-degree change हुआ कि I become more calmer, short-tempered, take a breathe. So it's up to us to make the change. But that is very conscious.
So you're saying like a plant, since you use the plant example, the air, water, sunshine, is what matters.
Yes.
To what extent do you feel, because you said parvarish, that's why I'm using that analogy. The parent is nurturing a child, giving it the air, water, sunshine, maybe even manure if it requires, to nurture the plant, to nurture the child. But overall, when you look at it, when you have seen and spoken to so many children, what are the top 3 things you feel in Indian context, in metro city context, are troubling the teenagers the most?
Quality time with parents.
Oh, okay.
Not being heard.
Not being heard.
And
Okay.
being compared.
Compared. Okay. Can you elaborate on each of these?
Quality time with parents is basically, obviously everyone's busy, and you said even if you're successful, there are very few people who
make an
actually
effort
give,
to
put
connect.
that. Otherwise you live with guilt, I can't spend time with them, so you end up giving them gifts. The first phone, why should a 6-year-old have a phone? Or you keep giving them gifts to compensate, that is not they want. Then there is sitting and listening to your child. What happens is, quality time is when I'm, as a parent, as a mother or as a parent, we have always had this thing in our mind ki we should be solution providers for our children. But they don't need solutions sometimes, they just need somebody to listen to you. So our mind is constantly ready, acha ye bola, iska ye jawab hai, acha why don't you do this. So it's like, in general, that is not listening. So you need to, my mentor had told me, Smita, bite your tongue till it bleeds, don't open your mouth. Listen. Listen. So that is something which has etched in me.
But what do you do when children don't talk? Like my teenage boy, he used to be very talkative, but now as they grow older, they talk less and less. You have to cajole them to have a conversation.
That's fun. That is when you go on dates and you have fun games. Do things that they love. Be kids like them.
But adolescent boys, would they agree to go out with their mothers? It's very difficult to get them out.
You need to just identify what they want. You have to ask him, try to identify what does he miss the most from you, and he will come and tell you. I have so many guys who literally have gone and said this to their parents, moms, and spend time with their moms and share things. But still, if you want him to share, obviously the father plays a bigger role here.
Yeah.
They need to be
In
buddies.
that age.
They need to be buddies rather than parents. So I always say role switch. If the father has,
so mother should not feel too guilty about it, because it's again part, like you said, it's part of the game. They will be more buddy with the father.
After 18, 19, he will come back to being mama's boy.
Okay.
It's like 13 to 18, they have these hormonal spikes and all, they don't understand. They will come back to you as mama's boy. So
they need the male energy more than the feminine energy.
Yes.
Other two also you have to explain. You said quality time, then you said not being heard and
not
compared.
being heard.
Let's
So
go
not
with
being heard, to मैंने बता दिया कि we are constantly in the thing of clearing. See, what happens is we feel as parents कि 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, as soon as this comes, and that is a time when they're in peak teenage, 9, 10, 11th, now the career is there. Now, have I prepared my child to face the world out there? They're going to go to university, meet people. So we are constantly questioning our parenting ki, have I done the right things? In that, we forget that the base foundation of our child is unconditional love. We forget love and we turn into disciplining him.
disciplining, yeah.
They do not want discipline, they want love. So love कब होता है? जब आप आई कांटेक्ट करो, समझने की कोशिश करो. योर चाइल्ड विल गिव यू इन देयर बॉडी लैंग्वेज, विल टेल यू. एंड अनदर थिंग इज, एज पेरेंट्स वी गेट इंट्यूशंस अबाउट आवर चिल्ड्रन. We should follow them. Parents always see, we are able to manifest the life for our kids.
So we obviously have a connect.
The first time the child was created in the mother's womb, the father and mother manifested a healthy child. Right? No parent manifested an unhealthy child. So you have the right and you know how to manifest the future for your child. Instead of worrying about the future, manifest the future for your child. Ki, okay, my child is going to be this, 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 this. Now that you know that the child is, you're relaxed. So that is being
and comparison. You were saying.
Comparison, yes. Comparison to what? That is the challenge here. Because
so parents tend to compare a lot. And that irks a child.
Parents tend to compare a lot because they have also seen it been happening with them. Their parents have compared with their siblings, cousins, friends, everything.
Whether they explicitly say it or not, वो undertone रहता है. उसने इतना अच्छा किया or something, even though you're not directly saying.
Yes. And subconsciously the kid also starts comparing them. What I say is very simple. Two fingerprints cannot be the same. Two leaves cannot be the same. How can you? अगर आपको comparison चाहिए है, so there has to be an exact clone of Afrida to compare.
True.
नहीं तो काहे का comparison? How can you compare? Comparison happens with similar things. Nothing similar here. Some kids understand it faster, some kids don't. Some kids grow early, some kids. There are women who have been successful in their life as soon as they started jobs and careers, then took a long break and then came back. Yeah. There are women who have taken break and then come back. So it's like, I'm not talking about women in general. So where is the comparison?
Everybody's journey is different, and a child also, for that matter.
So if you explain this to the child, the journey, enjoying the process of the journey is important. They will become more. That is another part of nurturing. Being happy with the process, so the results don't matter, because we are always focusing on the results, and the results lead to comparison.
And all this mental distress and the study pressure, and so now I'm going to ask you this, since you said that nurturing, the parental care over is something that can define more, even sometimes even going against what the DNA is. So you're saying that, okay, even if you genetically, whatever wired you may have been, nurturing can correct it, proper nourishing can correct it. So by that logic then, can I say that those children who have gone into this mental distress, have decided to end their lives, would you then blame parenting? Would you blame their nourishing, their way they raise the children?
I would not like to blame. This is all situational. We don't know at what state and what level they are and why it happened to them. Okay, sometimes I really can't understand. It is basically seeded since a long period of time, you know. It's like you're worthless, you're useless, you just can't do this. अरे इतनी सी चीज़ नहीं कर सकते, ये नहीं कर सकते. So it's like somewhere.
This threat and intimidation. I noticed that with a lot of parents, there's a tendency to talk to the children. क्या कर लोगे फिर आगे? You know, like there's a taunt, which is very harmful, right, for the child's self-esteem.
Earlier, I mean, there are some parents who say, you know, पढ़ाई वढ़ाई नहीं करोगे तो ड्राइवर बन जाओगे, मेड बन जाओगे, you know. That's not how you tell your child.
And it sticks. For a child, what the parent says is so
because see, as a child grows, there are only two people in their life who have always said, great, you're doing great, you're doing fabulous, we are behind you. आप गिरने लगे, हम हैं ना पकड़ने के लिए. And वही दो लोग अगर आपको बोलते हैं कि no, this is not right, or you're not doing this right, or you're like this. So they know कि okay, if my parents are saying, that means I am like this.
Obviously, you will have high credibility with your own children, and you should therefore never probably say such a
do
thing.
not label your kids.
Label, okay. That's
See,
very
and in anger, obviously we say things which are not meant to be. Many a times it happens with people, but it's okay. Then you need to be ready to say sorry to your kid and explain where you came from. Many a times we get scared to even say sorry to our kids. We expect them to say sorry, but हम आप जाके sorry नहीं बोलते.
And they should understand parents make mistakes.
Yes.
We are as fallible as anyone else. Yes. So we are not some picture perfect individuals. Like we have our own, deficiencies, our limitations. This is a personal question, and I'll end the conversation with that. I want to ask you that how good or bad is it to be vulnerable in front of our kids? Like, I am in a moment of, I'm struggling through something, or I'm feeling like a failure, or I'm having some trouble owing to which right now I'm tearing up, and or it could be something, which I don't really want to share with my children, but they are going to see the effect of it. How good or bad it is to show your vulnerable side to your children?
I prefer not to be very much vulnerable because with teenagers, no. Because teenagers के hormones बहुत spike हो जाते हैं, तो they may, because they are looking up to you as, मेरे parents तो सही है, उनके साथ कभी कुछ गलत नहीं होता. Occasionally mentioning it's fine. That comes when you're having conversations, अरे आज पता है office में ये हो गया, ऐसे हो गया, something like that. But it should not be, beyond that, because it's like you're putting your baggage burden on their shoulders, and they feel ki, I am looking up to this person and that person is only having problems, so meri life ka to pata nahi kya hoga. So I have this simple solution which I have learned. I used to do this a lot, I call it as unzipped brain. I've mentioned it in my book also. So in that, I just sit inside a room, and I just, whenever I'm feeling that way, I just sit and write whatever I'm feeling.
But your children should not be exposed ideally to all
preferably
those.
Preferably not. Because it is better, yes, they should know you're going through struggles. But when you're in the peak of emotions, do not, because then again
especially
the
with the
adverse issues.
And would you say the same about, say, parent conflict? Like, you obviously have some arguments with your spouse, and there are always situations where you can even flare up. So does that have a adverse effect on the child, or is it important for them to see ki nahi hota hai ye bhi? Or how the conflict resolution also happens?
Yes, but I prefer not to, because I've seen this in my child. My parents used to, I used to call them Tom and Jerry. But that's one thing that I had already decided, that whatever happens, I'm not going to fight in front of my child. So any conflict that happens, let it be in the bedroom. You speak it up there, clear it up. The parents, see, your kids have two strong people in their life.
Don't destroy it for them.
Don't destroy it for them, because dunya anyways destroy kar rahi baki cheezein. They do not have anybody out there. Then they go out in social media to find strong people.
So this is what I think you said it very beautifully, that whatever strength a child draws, it's from the parents. So therefore it is important for us to give them that sort of at least confidence that, look, we are there and we are good and we are strong enough. If we appear weak and vulnerable, that may not have exactly a great impact on them. And the point about nurturing that you explained. Dr. Smita, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.